Count your blessings even when things are tough. Hello friends, welcome back to Joyful Half Acre. And today I am hiding in my basement because my family's asleep upstairs, but I really wanted to get some thoughts down before they wake up. Because yesterday we had a medical emergency. My son, who's 14, had a seizure at school. And it was pretty bad, and they had to call the ambulance, and he's fine now, so that's a blessing. But I just kind of wanted to go through the day, get my thoughts down, and because when I was going through this, I just saw the blessings that God gave through every step. If this was going to happen, it was the best case scenario for a bad situation, is what I told the principal at the school. If this was going to happen, everything fell together so great that the Lord just blessed us through it. So I want to kind of run you through the day and all the blessings that I saw in this very tough day for us. As I said, today he's doing good. He woke up and he's clear-headed and understands everything now and knows what's going on. So he's finally clear-headed, I think. Hopefully he is. And hopefully this never happens again, but okay. So he was at school and he just was walking. He fell to his knees and then fell face first on the ground, having a seizure. He hit his head a little bit, but not bad, just a little bump. So when he fell. And yeah, they called the ambulance. The ambulance came, and that's about all I know what happened at school because I wasn't there. So the school did walk me through everything that happened, everything they did to help him. They are an awesome school. We live in a very small town, rural community, but this school is just awesome. So here's my point of view because he was kind of out of it. So for me, I want to just list my blessings. First off, yesterday morning, I was planning on going to town really early and it just didn't work out. My upload of my video for yesterday just wouldn't upload. It usually downloads or uploads whatever overnight and it just didn't happen. And so I had to wait in the morning. We live in the country, so it was halfway uploaded at 5 a.m. and it didn't get done until 8:30. So it takes a while in the country here. Our internet is not the best. So I was a little frustrated with that, but I thought, fine, I'll just go to town later to get my groceries and stuff. And so I didn't even leave the house until 9 o'clock. I had to go do some errands, and then I went to my mom's house. All I had to do was do some errands, go to my mom's, because I always stop at her house, and then go to the grocery store and then home. Oh, and I had to pick up some stuff, some boxes at church, but that never got done. So I went to town, stopped at my mom's house, and I said, oh, I'm just going to stay a minute. And then a minute lasted over an hour. You know, those visits with family and with moms. And so over an hour later, I'm still there. I'm going, I really need to leave. It was such a blessing, first off, that my video didn't download because otherwise I would have been in town earlier. And secondly, that I did procrastinate and stay at my mom's because that's when I got the phone call. And first, I missed the phone call. My dad said, your phone's ringing, and I looked at it and I had missed it already and I didn't know the phone number, so I just didn't answer. Really need to start answering all calls. It's probably a telemarketer, but that's okay. But I see this as a blessing too that I missed the call. I just realized this morning because I was beating myself up about it yesterday. But this morning I realized that's a blessing too because I'll explain that in a minute. So then I get the phone call. A few minutes later, my phone rings again, and I answered it, even though I didn't know the number. And that it was the school. See, and it was a blessing that I was still at my mom's house when I got this call, because my kids were there. All I had to do was say bye. I didn't have to find somewhere to take my 3 little ones, and I just left and was pulling out of the driveway, you know, on my way out. I'm like, Clay had a seizure, I gotta go. And she said go. So it was such a blessing that I'd procrastinated and stayed there. So on my way out of the driveway, my husband calls, which he's at work all day. You know, he works at a factory, manufacturing factory. So he calls, and he had heard. At that point, I had no idea how he heard. What happened was, when they didn't get me, they called his work, which is a blessing, because if I would have gotten the phone call first, I usually just call his phone. He doesn't answer. A few hours later, when he's on break, he calls me back. I don't know his work number. So it was a blessing that the school had to look up his work number and call there, and he was able to find out the same time I did, because I missed the phone call the first time. So actually that was a blessing. So then I leave and go to the school, driving a little bit fast. Yes, yes, I was speeding quite a bit. And I made it to the school. Another blessing, the school called me again, a different person, the principal or superintendent. I'm not sure who she is, but she is an awesome lady. I've talked to her before and just love her. She called me on the way while I was driving and just talked to me and told me he's in the ambulance. He just got coherent, so he was out of it for quite a while. He didn't come to until he was in the ambulance. And she said he knows his name, so, you know, that's a blessing. So it was just so wonderful that she was able to talk me through this. And I made it to the school just right before the ambulance was leaving. I was able to make it there and get in the ambulance and ride with him. Another blessing, just so wonderful. Then my husband made it right before we pulled out of the driveway, or out of the parking lot, which was another blessing. So we go to the hospital, and it's a 20-minute drive, 15 in an ambulance, because, well, I asked him to take me to where we live. We're kind of between 2 cities, and the one's just a little bit closer from the school, but I asked him to take me to the other one because I absolutely love their hospital. So, not as fond of the other hospital, let's just say that. So we went to Pella, and on the way there, let's just say another blessing happened. I won't go into detail on that, but it was just another blessing. Just the way the ambulance driver said, hey, do you need to pick up this? And my husband, we were right at the corner, so my husband could drive home. And anyway, I won't elaborate on that, but just another, like, wow, God is so good that he made this happen right now. And so then we were at the hospital all day. He was fine. They checked him all out. He was fine, no problems. He was able to, it took him a while. He didn't realize really where he was until he was at the hospital, and he started coming to. They checked everything. I think it was an EEG where they put the stuff on your chest. They did a neck CT, I think, of his neck. They checked his neck. He was fine. So everything came back. There's nothing wrong with him. So we have no idea why this happened. But that's okay. You know what? That's okay. I just pray to God that it never happens again. And if it does ever happen again, I pray that it's the best circumstances like it was today. So anyway, back to the blessings. Yet again, the school. We got out of the hospital about, 3:40. And of course, school gets out at like 3:30. So I had called the school before, and they said, yep, they had gotten all of his stuff around, found his clothes, because he was in PE class, you know, and his computer and his locker. And they said, yep, whenever you get here, we will have it ready. They told me even on the phone, if you're going to be later, we'll make sure somebody's here. I want to cry because I just love that school. And I got there, and like I say, the principal superintendent lady, I'm not sure, she walked me through everything that happened. Who was there? Who saw what? Who helped? Who did what? And just such a blessing to know exactly what happened to my son, and to know that these people there care as much about him, almost as much about him as I do. That's just wonderful. So anyway, also I wanted to go back and say the ambulance driver on the way to the hospital was telling me how good the school did with the nurse did, and this whole school did, and he was just praising them, how wonderful they did. And how well the small town community volunteer ambulance that had come, they always come, how wonderful they did, and they did. Oh, and another one, last night I realized because after we got out of the hospital and I talked to the school and left there, my husband had taken Clay home so that he could just rest. He was okay by then, just foggy when he was just a little foggy on time yesterday. Once he got out, at first he thought it was the middle, we said 3:30, he thought it was middle of the night. Then he thought it was the next day later when we were talking, and he just wasn't sure, but that's to be expected and understandable. But by the time he got home, he rested and he was doing good. So I had to go leave him because I had left my vehicle at the school. So they had to drop me off there. I got his stuff, and then I had to go get my kids, which I stopped at the store too, just because I had procrastinated earlier on doing it, which was a good thing. And I realized on my way back to town, because I could say 20-minute drive to the town where my kids were, that another blessing, I did not get a ticket that morning. I was going quite fast and I didn't get a ticket, and that's just a blessing. And there was only one car I had to pass even. And it was just, God put so many blessings in our path. Then last night also, I've got my list of things I wrote down. I was realizing yesterday how many blessings that I was seeing, so I was writing it down because I do best if I write things down because I can remember it better. And after I picked up the kids, went to the store, and I was headed home last night, I do really good in an emergency situation. I do. I mean, I get that initial shock, but then I do great through it. What do we need to do next? But then after it's over, that's when I sometimes fall apart. I realize the adrenaline rush is gone, and I'm like, that's when I'm crying and what am I doing? On the way home last night with the kids, on the radio was the song "Fear is a Liar." And I love that song, and it is so true. Fear is a liar. If you've never heard it, go look it up. It's awesome. And if you have heard it, you know. So it just comforts me so much when I have any anxiety or stress. And yeah, just for God to let me hear that song at that moment. Just such a blessing. So I want to end this by saying, count your blessings. Even in rough, bad situations, medical emergencies, count your blessings, because God is working through everything, the good and the bad, to show you that He's there with you and that He will bless you. And I certainly feel it, and I certainly see it, and I would never have wanted this to happen. I never hope it happens again. I hope we have smooth sailing and have nothing bad happening. But if something bad does happen, I'm going to look to the Lord, and I'm going to count my blessings through it and see how good He's working, because He certainly does. So thanks for listening to my ramblings today. I just had to get this down, and I am so, so thankful that the Lord has led me to YouTube and to you all to be able to talk through this and to get this documented so that I don't have to forget anything that happened, and especially the blessings that happened through the bad situations. I'm so thankful for that. So thanks for watching today, friends. I hope you'll like, subscribe, and continue to join us in this joy-filled life. Joy, even in the bad times. Thanks. Bye.